Coming up on Network Africa, Kenya's main opposition leader, Raila Odinga, declares himself the people's president in what he describes as a symbolic swearing-in. Liberia's new president, George Weah, vows to abolish existing racist citizenship law. And the son of Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa Jr. denies nursing a political ambition. Well, hello and welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers. Kenya is back in the news in a surprising twist of events. Just a few hours ago, supporters of the opposition leader Raila Odinga gathered at the Uhuru Park in the capital, Nairobi, for the controversial inauguration of their leader. He and his supporters believe he's the rightful winner of last year's presidential election. Here's a series of events preceding the ceremony.
Several hundred supporters of opposition leader Raila Odinga gathered this morning at a park in downtown Nairobi, determined to inaugurate their leader who boycotted a rerun election last year. They began the day with singing and dancing at the venue where Raila Odinga says he will be sworn in as alternative president. Kenya police fired tear gas to disperse opposition supporters, and government authorities shut down TV stations to prevent live coverage of the event, with the National Communications Authority switching off all transmission and broadcasting signals. Kenya has been tense since Kenya's incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta won 98% of the vote in a repeated election in which an opposition boycott helped lower turnout to 39% in October. Odinga pulled out of the vote, saying the Electoral Commission had failed to institute reforms to forestall the kind of what he called illegalities and irregularities that scampered Kenyatta's victory in the August election.
Meanwhile, Raila Odinga has declared himself as the people's president, receiving loud cheers from thousands of his supporters as he arrived at the Uhuru Park. He swore himself in as head of state by taking a symbolic oath holding a green Bible. At least that's how he describes it. Odinga's supporters insist that he, not President Uhuru Kenyatta, is Kenya's legitimate leader and that the process leading to Kenyatta's election was neither free nor fair. The Attorney General had warned that Odinga could be charged with treason if the event went ahead, an offense that can carry the death penalty. Let's get back to that story. And legal practitioner and African affairs analyst Yinka Oyeniji joins us in the studio. Glad to have you once again.
Pleasure all the time.
So what do you take of this, dramatic day, I must, believe has just occurred in Kenya? The symbolic oath of office, as Raila Odinga calls it, declaring himself as a people's president.
Oh, well, I think it's symbolic, but I've chosen to calmly consider it's a dangerous trend. I'll tell you the truth, it's a dangerous trend. What he has simply done is to say that he will take advantage of their weak institutions, and then he will go ahead and swear himself in as president. You have a substantive president, an election, you've had elections held, which had the winner. The Supreme Court has made pronunciations regarding that. It's treasonable felony in a sense. And with what happened in Zimbabwe blowing over, you tend to think that democracy may not necessarily be through the polls anymore. We have seen that popular citizens have now started exploiting the system. That's to say it mildly, to exploit the weaknesses of the institutions, and then due to their popularity, do what they call the will of the people. And while doing that, many of his supporters have said that the relevant section, opening section of their constitution gives power to the people, and that if they are in the majority, they necessarily will legitimately determine who their president is, whether they go to elections or not.
So what do you make of that? So do you think Odinga's action was right in, this perspective you've just given, that power belongs to the people and people have the right, but it's an unconstitutional way of doing it? How do you think events will play out from now on?
I don't think this is good. No matter what, popular candidates is the reason why you have institutions. Okay, if you see the whole world sat back, allowed it happen in Zimbabwe in a sense, it has blown over to Kenya now in another sense. All right, even if you think that you are the candidate of the people, we have institutions. And I dare say, up until we begin to uphold our institutions, including in Nigeria, where we obey decisions of the court and then allow legislature do its work, and executive is not sleeping in fulfilling its own tasks. If we don't take all those as paramount, it spells dangerous doom waiting to happen. So no matter how good or how lofty he thinks what he has done is, it is still treasonable felony, and it is bound to cause unrest. Expect his arrest shortly.
Right. Raila Odinga has chosen to play the role of a daredevil, in this drama in Kenya. And, as you have rightly said, the Attorney General of the country had warned him that if the ceremony went ahead, it amounts to treason, which attracts the death penalty.
Yeah.
Do you think, even if they arrest him, they can't go ahead with, exploiting the full extent of the law?
No, I don't think you would even allow that happen, because if you get him arrested, you overheat the polity. What he will do is quickly get out of Kenya again and then earn more popularity by being the president from exile. And then you start waiting for the international community to intervene one way or the other. Do we leave the president? Do we persuade the president to leave? Do we order fresh elections? No matter what, the constitution of that country has to be amended to provide a way forward. But this is the beginning of a long, tortuous journey for Kenya.
So, you're a lawyer. What does the Kenyan constitution say about this? The
Kenyan constitution has been subjected to different interpretations in recent times. I was waiting to see who would swear him in. But there's a provision that has been, the judiciary doing the work of legislature now, interpreting and making the law to say that any judge, any high court judge can swear in the president. This man hasn't even won elections. So everybody has taken advantage of the system. You can imagine that the Supreme Court refused to sit because they couldn't find their justices as a result of upheavals and the reactions from the last elections they held in November. So he knew, and he still knows, that nothing will come out of the courts. So he's just taking the bull by the horns. The Chief Justice is nowhere to be found. There was an attempt on her life, a carry dude by bullets. So as it is right now, he's taking advantage of a system that is even no longer existent.
Right. Thank you so much for your thoughts on the situation in Kenya. Yinka Oyeniyi, speaking to us
all the
on
time.
Network Africa.
Thank you too.